Boatemaa Yakohene is a research fellow at the Legon University, a fellow at the Legon Center of International Affairs and Diplomacy, University of Ghana, Legon, where she currently teaches Africa in world politics, gender and international relationships, and research methodology in Ali. She was educated at the University of Ghana, BA and MPhil, and the Scholar Superior Saint Anna de Sede Universitaire et de Professional PISA, Italy PhD. She examines and supervises masters and doctorate students across the world spectrum of international affairs at the University of Ghana and the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. Her research and publications areas include peacekeeping, governance, and gender issues. And she also has experience in consultancy, training, workshop facilitation, teaching, and research of diverse areas of governance, gender, peace, and security. Afua has the privilege of being a part of various African Union trainings, workshops, and roasting exercises geared towards establishing the African Standby Force. Afua, this is so impressive, and we are honored to have you on board, and we welcome you again. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Yakohene, you have the floor, please.
Yeah.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You've lost me. I can hear you.
Okay, you have the floor, please.
Okay, but I hope everyone can hear me as well.
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
All right, okay. So good evening, Rotary Accra East, and good evening, Andrews and the Rotary executives for this invitation. There's supposed to be a short time of conversation. Andrews, is it all right for me to share my slides from my end?
Yes, please, you can share.
All right, thank you. It seems that it's not giving me the opportunity. Let's see.
Okay, let me confirm if you're a co-host.
A co-host. She's a co-host.
Okay, you should be able to share, Doc.
Yeah, but from my side, it's not allowing me.
Okay, if you don't mind, I could share it quickly from my side for you.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
I believe you can see my screen now, please, Doc.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
This conversation on making basic education and literary literacy, and a standpoint of participant observer. And I would, in having this conversation, I would have it from the point of the traditional education system that we have in Ghana. It doesn't include that of the baccalaureate because I don't have much experience in there. So for the basic outline that we'll be looking at is what basic education is, what literacy is, to be able to create the platform for the conversation. And then from there, I'll look at some loopholes that I've observed in the system, the impact on the loophole on individuals and to a higher extent, the nation, and how basic education and literacy can be made much more beneficial. All right, so what is the essence of doing this? I have two objectives. The first objective being that it helps us to understand the current dynamics of basic education and literacy in Ghana. And then the second one is also to look at possible options of equipping either your ward or the ward of another with adequate life skills for personal and national growth and development. Okay, so let's move on. So I asked the question whether basic education and literacy matter. And at this point, I want to ask anyone if you've ever wondered about the relevance of some subjects you studied at school or elsewhere. If you wondered, this course that I did, how has it impacted on my life as an individual? Could I live my life without it? Can I have someone share? If you've ever come to that place.
A lot.
Okay, so you share one. Yes, Patience Anand.
Please, if we're technical skills.
Technical skills.
Up to date, yes. I don't know what we could have just done or what that course impacted in our lives. Most of us have not used technical skills since we finished school. There's nothing practically, unless maybe somebody went into carpentry. But basically, technical skills, I don't know why we're even doing that. So.
Okay, all right. Can I have another, because I can see a smiley? Yes, Kali Sako.
Yes, I can recall of calculus and quadratic equations. I don't know what I'm using for now today.
was it a math or add math?
Add math.
Okay, all right. Okay, I've always wondered for a long time the place of math in my life, because it's one of the courses that I have such a difficulty in understanding, one in appreciating, and then in its utility. So aside subtraction and addition and multiplication, I said, oh, what do I need math for? Until I watched the movie Hidden Figures. Then I understood the place of mathematics, that, oh, so even old math helped in getting the Americans to the moon. And somebody says quanti. Okay, so these are realistic. And surprisingly, I had this conversation with some of my children this morning when we were on the way to school. They asked, Mommy, what is the essence of all these things we are learning in English, like homophones, homograms? You know, when we learn about, what do we call it? Was it first aid? What was that book? Where we are taught how to describe things adequately, right? By using the right words, such as a bevy of ladies, a pack of wolves, a bag, you know, those things. He said, what is the essence of it? So I had to explain it to him that it is to help us in our composition, our writing, and in our speaking. But unfortunately, I don't know if culture comes to play, because we do know them, but few people utilize them well. So lots of people say, oh, I saw plenty dogs, or I saw child girls, or a lot of fine girls. Rarely would we use the appropriate way. So what went wrong in how our education is done, that the utility of it is often not felt? And we might find ourselves in places where we never thought we would get there, or that the education we received, the basic education and literacy, didn't do much for us. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. What I want us to do now is look at what basic education means, and then we'll look at what basic literacy means. That helps us. So can I have the definition of basic education, please? So a simple Google search will let you know that anytime you hear the word basic education, it refers to formal, non-formal, and informal public and private activities. And these activities are intended to meet the basic learning needs of people of all ages. I need you to take note of formal, non-formal, and informal. And I need you to take note of public and private, right? And it is to meet the learning needs of people of all ages. Now let's see what basic literacy also says. So these are some of the things that basic literacy is supposed to help you and I, and well, we have passed that age. So the younger ones who are within that domain. I think that in Ghana at the moment, under the NPP administration, due to the free compulsory universal basic education policy that has been implemented by including the senior high school in the free education category. So it stretches now up to SS. So from crèche to senior high level is where you can term or what you can term as basic education. So it says that for you to have basic literacy, it should be able to develop some foundational competency in you. The screen is off.
It'll be up in a minute, in a second.
Okay, no problem. I'm trying to open mine. So if it doesn't come up, I'm covered. All right, so it should be able to give you some foundational competency in reading, in writing, in math, job application assistance, and overall life skill development. It doesn't end there. It goes on to talk about STEM. STEM being science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's supposed to give you knowledge also on the basic skills and concepts in this area. Now, when I saw job application assistance, I'm like, okay, I know that we wrote myself, right? I know that we were taught as part of the English curriculum that this is how you write a letter to somebody. This is how you write, but I don't really remember the application for jobs. If there was emphasis, maybe not in my time. Those who finished high school in the last 10 years, can you tell me if you were taught how to apply for a job?
Nope, nope.
Okay. Is there any other reaction? Do I have another no?
Yes, another no.
Another no. Okay. So, because when I saw that, I was like, wow. So if all these things are supposed to equip us to this level, then what are we missing out, right? And overall, after you are done with senior high school or A level or O level, why am I talking about that? It's not about us. It's about those who are in the, to what extent does it really equip you for life? That after school, you can comfortably start a job without fear or of having to depend on others for your daily livelihood. And how many organizations will be willing to employ a senior high graduate and pay the person well and think that he or she has something to offer to the company. Okay, so let's move on. So basic education and literacy ideally should open young people up to the world of learning in the acquisition of not only knowledge, but skills. And this should be through study, through experience, or being taught. So I think overall it should be a matter of knowing something and being able to do. And I also particularly note that it should be a time of excitement and be inquisitive, you know, where every human being is inquisitive. So, and that should call for encouragement rather than children being asked to shut up. Most of us, I mean, we do that when they are young people. Say, this child likes talking too much. Why are you asking me this? Why am I saying, Mommy, why is this woman's stomach so big? You say, hey, keep quiet. Bonnie, why are you saying this? Oh, and it doesn't. That innate trait that is inquisitive, wants to inquire, wants to know, why does the TV work? Why are people in the television when it's on the wall? Why, what is in the fridge? What is making it work? And a child will want to unscrew things and destroy it for you, basically. Should be encouraged. It's also a good time for exploration, where young minds search information for themselves. Thank God for the internet. Now young people are able to search, and unfortunately, they even get information that are not relevant or healthy for their age. It's also a time for investigation, for creativity, identifying what your interests are, and in a larger, also to a higher extent, it also helps you to be socially formed. So you know the values and principles of your society and through the education that you receive. So this can be informally at home and formally in school, so that you can fit in society well. And when these things are done right, then you see the play of intelligence, right? Because you can see that intelligence comes as a result of exploit inquisitiveness in a particular area. But if that is overshadowed with fear, with coming from a place of chewing and pouring and passing and forget, then we don't even know why we did mathematics. Then we wonder, why did we even do technical skills? Because I didn't get the opportunity. Next slide, please. I did not get the opportunity of learning how to do technical skills. And I wondered, what is it about and how can it help me? So speaking from a participant observer position, I can identify some loopholes that doesn't create the necessary excitement, inquisitiveness, exploration, and what have you. And basically it's how teaching is done, how we are taught largely in some places, because government schools to a higher extent are more than private schools. And as much as private schools are increasing, how many of them do the teaching right? How many of them get the right teachers and use the right curriculum and pay them well enough for them to want to give of their best to the children that they teach? So the way teaching is done, it doesn't promote intellectual ownership. Teacher said this, so you take it. You'll be surprised that at my level, I teach masters and PhD students, where students wonder if they should tell you what you taught them in class. I said, why do you want to tell me what I taught you in class? What I taught you in class is what I have studied. I want you to tell me what you have studied. And I want you to be able to apply the concepts and the theories well in a realistic manner, so that what you have learned will be applicable in society. Don't give me what you have taught. But I also see that even at the university level, it does happen where some people are caught up in their old ways of doing things and they want to be quoted and tell me what it is I taught you in class. That is absolutely absurd. It doesn't enhance the stimulation of ideas. It doesn't captivate their thoughts. Students are in class, but they are not excited about what they are learning. It's like we have to go to school. So they wake up in the morning and they go to school. Why would a child at the crèche level, aside missing their parents, cry? If school is exciting to be. Why don't we have more young people embarking on experimental adventures that will lead to innovation? For instance, the way languages are taught in our schools. I mean, how many of you read French and how many of you can have a meaningful conversation in French, in the French language? Because the attention is on the grammar and not on the speaking. So grammar is 80%, or sometimes even 90%. But grammar is just for you to know the principles of the language, and the conversation should be encouraged so that we can speak it. So you study French, it appears you don't get any much relevance or usefulness. Then I talk about teaching, but not a teacher. I believe you may have encountered a teacher that you know that this one is not a teacher. So those that are not teachers easily get angry. There is no passion. And is it as a way of escape? Yes, because we have put premium on tertiary education, that you must go to the university. So everybody wants to go to the university, whether they like it or not, but that is what is. How many people do we have in the teaching field? In some countries in the global north where they are more developed, like Canada and Germany, it's first-class students are those who become teachers. So they have a categorization. Those who do very well are those who get into the teaching field, whether tertiary, primary, and all. And those who don't, who don't, so like the second grade, they get to get into the technical aspect. And the lower ones, they get into entrepreneurship because they do what they want to do and they work within what they want to do in. Then there is few ICT exploration, and these inadequacies became glaring when COVID struck in 2020, and schools were shut down. They couldn't operate again. But where we are in the world is our ability to translate our everyday life into the digital realm. So coding and artificial intelligence is the future. And the countries who knew this and saw it 10, 15, 20 years time ago, they make sure that they sponsored their young people to pursue education in these fields. The one interesting thing is this one-size-fits-all approach of examination, which does not take into consideration your interest, your craftsmanship, your mental abilities, everybody, or if whether you have you're on the Down syndrome spectrum, whether you are dyslexic, whether you are this, no, everybody is put in there, and not everybody is not even given the right, because if you are not like every other normal child, it means you need more attention. And if you don't get the necessary attention and mentoring and shaping, and then you are asked to sit for the BEC and for the WACC, what happens to you? You'll be found wanting. And these things do not promote questioning minds because they don't even like what they are doing. Many are confused, and even can have a young person, 15 years, 18 years, they have no clear idea, even 21, no clear idea of what they want to do with their lives because they haven't discovered who they are through the education they have gotten. And you also see the prospect of technical vocational education and training being lost. Because if we as a country, we are encouraging more people to get into the entrepreneurship, then they need skills. They need skills that they are passionate about. They need to be able to get also the right training attitude, the right training minds, the right tools to be who they want to be. That will unleash their potential and contribute their quota to national development and to personal development also. Next slide. And so if you look at this image, you will see the monkey, the elephant, the rhino, the snake, tiger, and, and butterfly, and they are all asked to take the same exam. Just imagine an elephant climbing a tree. That applies to a young person who hasn't had the necessary exposure, and they are asked to write an exam, they are likely to fail. And how many of them at that age can express their fear well? How many parents will take it? And the child says that I can't write this exam. I don't understand it, or I'm afraid because I don't think I'm well prepared, or I don't even know what it is the teacher is talking about, but they are compelled to. And many will not tell their parents and their guardians their fears. They wouldn't, because we are also not prepared, having spent all this much of school fees. All right, go on, please. So what is the impact on the individual and the nation? And how can we make basic education literacy to be much more beneficial than it is? Okay. Can you move on, please? This image tells us about not just teaching our children to read, but we should teach them to question what they read. We should teach them to question everything. And having questioning minds help, because it builds you into an adult who is confident. It builds you into an adult who has ownership of scholarship. And it builds you into an adult who want to have the courage to chart new paths and for yourself and for the community. And we see people like Steve Jobs and co, even Elon Musk doing this. Next one. Okay, so the way our education, the basic literacy and education is, I see more of it creating fear amongst our wards and the younger generation, if you may. The subjects they do that they don't like or they don't understand, it creates fear, fear of not being enough, fear of not being smart. But I see that God in his wisdom made everybody in his image, and you can now tell me that God is not intelligent. So if he made us in his image and his likeness, and we are supposed to possess his DNA and be as smart as he is, why can't somebody understand? Because they don't like what they are doing. It has created also, let's say, to a level, some stupidity. Stupidity because people who don't do well the way the society has been framed are perceived to be weak. And then it creates also different levels of vulnerability because they don't fit into what is considered to be normal. And the other one is, please, can I have all the points, please? The other one is that our awards become limited in scope because the avenue to be educated in the area of interest for them may not be available. They become limited in scope in their world, exposure to the world, for them to know what is available, for them to know that if you don't pass the BEC or the WACC, it's not the end of the world. That in fact, there are many things that you can do and can become. Then there is what I refer to as distant from originality. We don't learn much about ourselves and our environment as we do about foreign cultures. We can tell you the history, the American history, the British history, but not that of ours. So we making it, it makes us put premium on those cultures at the expense of our own, because we become dependent in their way of life, and then in the end we become indebted to them. Right, and to some appreciable extent, explain why we are a net import country and an exporter of raw materials instead of being a finisher of raw materials. In as much as I understand, next slide, in as much as I understand the dynamics that goes on in the green rooms at the World Trade Organization, whereby there are deliberate efforts to keep us to be exporters of raw materials, whereby some funds that we go into also do that. But where we have gotten to, countries like South Africa and Rwanda are seeing the lights, the North African countries are doing same. So it's high time we also change our own narrative. What about the impact on the nation? If you study our curriculum, it tends to be following in the path of our colonial inheritance, that is producing civil servants. But we have gone past that. The world has gone past that. So if the world has gone past that, then how can we teach and how can we develop the right curriculum for our younger ones? And the another impact too is that as I indicated earlier, it makes us dependent on others and external systems rather than dependent on our abilities, dependent on our own strength and what we can do. It makes us sitting ducks. We are vulnerable to exploiters because really we do not deeply cultivate the skills of having questioning minds. becoming critical thinkers and becoming critical analysts. We accept everything hook, line, and sinker. So when a politician tells us that he's going to construct this road for us when it comes to power, we never ask him that, Mr. MP, your position as an parliamentarian is to enact laws. What do you have to do with road construction? We don't ask him. We don't ask him that this money that you are giving me, where did you get it from? How do I pay you back? We never do. All we think of is the fried rice, the t-shirt, and the 20 Ghana, and we are gone. Forgetting that he may have borrowed it, he'll pay it back through what means. That's where it encourages corruption. It encourages corruption. We do not develop in our areas of strength because we must survive. So the easiest way or an easier way is through corruption. We see an increase in the buying of exam answers. And if our young people are buying exam answers whilst they are 14, 15, 16 years, then you can know what they will buy when they are 25 years. The next one. I think the last one. No, the one before. All right, so how can we make basic education and literacy more beneficial for us? There are many things, but some of which I would like to talk about is creating our own paradigm educational model, and a model that is original to our identity, but of course modern. This will help in establishing our true identity and culture and maximize our environment for a sustainable future. I do know for sure that in Rwanda, as part of the post-conflict reconstruction, government schools have been so well built, so robust that private schools have run out of students, that they are begging the state to consider them. And then I think my time is almost up. Wow. And it's also to help us identify teachers who are really passionate about what you do and they are gifted to do it. There is much more intentionality in communication and education activities towards productive goals and not just about writing exam. Education is not about writing exam as we have made it. And the need to make us more independent, for education to make us independent, open-minded, and versatile, so we can have these future leaders amongst us. Of course, it goes without saying that investment in ICT is a must, and the contribution of parents and guardians is also a must, where parents will have to know what roles they have to play, and parents will have to assist and not leave the responsibility on to teachers and to the government alone, but find ways and means of helping our wards, both informally and formally, to excel in their areas of interest. All right. Arigato gozaimashita. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's any opportunity for a Q&A.
Certainly there is, Dr.